Today, let's talk about what are the recruitment and hiring processes. And let's face it, finding and selecting a candidate for a job isn't as cut and dried as it may initially seem. You don't just look up and down the list of candidates and say, hmm, that person will do just fine. But instead, you have to go through numerous steps to get the final stage of employee selection process, right from the drafting of the job announcement through interviews, background check, and the final offer letter, among many other steps along the way. And today we will be highlighting the 8 steps of the selection process for hiring employees. And what are these? Number one is application. All right. The application phase is in the selection process is sometimes seen as passive from hiring team aside. You just wait for the candidates to respond to your job ad. However, applications can and should be selection tools helping you sort candidates as qualified or unqualified. Then how can we do this? There are two options to get started on. One is qualifying questions and gamification. Now, let's talk about qualification or qualifying question first. If you're using software to build your application form, using qualifying question at the beginning of your selection process should be easy. You can add 2 or 3 questions relevant to the position. The candidate must answer this question in order to apply. For example, briefly describe your experience with Excel. All right. Another is what's the difference between content marketing and journalism? So some of these questions could require simple yes or no answer. Now, when we talk about gamification, gamifying your recruitment process isn't a new trend, but with the progress of technology, you can now use gamification tools more effectively in the skeleton or in the selection process, especially in the application phase. Consider asking less experienced candidates and those transitioning from different backgrounds to play online or offline games. Second, second is the resume screening. Now that you have wrapped up the application phase of the employee selection process, you have a collection of resumes or CVs, curriculum vitae, to sift through and filter those deemed suitable for a screening call. What you'll need to do now is go through resumes one by one, whether manually or software assisted, and identify prime candidates. This is one of the most traditional employer selection methods to move candidates to the next step by identifying and disqualifying those who don't quit fit what you're looking for. There may be hundreds, in some cases, thousands of applicants for a single job. There are numerous ways to filter resumes, right? Then, second or third is the screening call. The screening call or phone screen is among the initial hiring stages where recruiters shortlist applicants. The purpose of this call is to establish whether the candidate is truly interested in the job and or at least minimal qualified to do it successfully. This way, only the best applicants will go to the next, stricter and more expensive hiring stages, like assessment and in-person interviews, saving your team or saving your team time and money. The next is the assessment test. Once you've screened candidates and sorted them out into promising, maybe, and disqualified groups, you want to look at the surviving candidates and further assess their ability to do the job you're looking to fill. This assessment can take place in a multitude of forms in the selection process. An in-person audition for an acting position, a sales job where you request the candidate to pitch you a product, or a kitchen position where you ask them to cook something for you on the spot, or a written or online test or test for aptitude, personality, intelligence, and etc. A practical skills test to determine a candidate's typing speed, data entry capabilities, memory, and etc. When, of course, the job opening is for the clerk. Now, if you're applying for a teaching position, then you may be asked to do demo. All right. Then next, all right. All right. Then we have the in-person interviewing. Right. You're now deep in the selection process, having screened candidates, evaluated their skills, assessed their abilities, and created a short list of the most qualified people. It's finally time to meet in person with those promising candidates and determine who's going to be your next hire. Because a good interview will help you make better hiring decisions, and you will get to know the candidate more, as you will objectively evaluate and compare candidates' potential. But there is more to do than the actual interview. You need to prepare yourself and the entire hiring team to make sure you asked all the right questions. More specifically, you should prepare. And next is the background check. Background check reassures you that your finalists are reliable and don't pose risks of your company. For example, employers may conduct pre-employment check to make sure candidates have told the truth in their resumes or don't currently do illicit drug. In fact, there are several types of background checks. This includes criminal records, checking the his or her credit reports, the driving records, verification report, example, identity, education, in terms of TOR, and by check, work history, social security number, national insurance number, etc., and drug testing, drug test, right? And number seven is the reference check. In the final stage of the selection process, you might want to get some references for your best candidates. This way, you get feedback you get feedback about their performance from people they've actually worked with in the past, such as former managers, former colleagues, or business partners and clients. And you should ask candidates to provide contact details from former employees and co-workers. Or you can reach out directly to the people you know they used to work with. In any case, when requesting reference for a candidate, it's best to initially send an email to introduce yourself and explain why you want this information. This way, you can schedule a call where you'll discuss in more detail. During reference check, you will confirm what candidates have already told you, example about time of employment and previous job responsibilities. It's a way of checking whether this candidate is telling the truth. Learn how candidates use their skill on the job, and then you can discover potential weaknesses or lack of practical experience and understand how candidates behave in the work environment. Example, if they're if they're punctual, if they receive feedback well, and etc. And the last steps is the decision and job offer. Congratulations! After a series of well-organized selection process for recruiting new employees, you've finally found your perfect hire. Now it's time to let them know you're offering them a position at your company. The job offer process is a critical one. Done right, you'll soon become your new employee in the office. But if you miss something, you might lose a great candidate and have to start the hiring process all over again. All right. So those are the 8 steps of the hiring process. Then let's talk about the equal employment opportunity. What is the equal employment opportunity? This is actually a civil rights act of 1974 and enacted plus July 2 of 1964. It is a landmark civil rights and labor law which is started in the United States that outlaws the discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. And what are these? So the rights and privileges, this is about the rights and privileges of disabled person. This is under Republic Act 9 Bur 7277, which says that this is an act providing for rehabilitation, self-development, and self-reliance of disabled persons and their integration into the mainstream of the society and for other purposes, which says a qualified employee with disabilities shall be subject to the same terms and conditions of employment and the same compensation, privileges, benefits, prints, benefits, incentives, or allowances as a qualified able-bodied person. And no disabled person shall be denied access to opportunities for suitable employment. A qualified disabled employee shall be subject to the same terms and conditions of employment and the same compensation privileges, benefits, prints, benefits, incentives, or allowance as a qualified able-bodied person. So equal opportunity, whether you are disabled or not. You're the same. You are entitled. If you are a disabled person, you are entitled to the same incentive, the same benefits. Uh, no doubt about it, because this law prohibits, again, the other way around act of the employee or the employees, the employer. All right. And equal opportunity or equal employment opportunity law bans several types of discrimination. What are these usual discrimination? Race, color, religion, age, nationality, and national origin, disabilities. Okay? And we know what is race, right? Is a grouping of humans based on shared physical or social qualities into categories generally viewed as distinct of society. And national origin refers to the country of the person was born. And disability, of course, we know we learn what is disability. Is any condition of the body or mind that makes it more difficult for a person with condition to do certain activities and interact with the world around them. No, around them, there should be no restriction participation or participation restriction. So that's all about equal employment opportunity. No discrimination of race, color, religion, regardless of what religion you are affiliate of, regardless of your color, regardless of what race o asa ka na tao, regardless of your national origin, and regardless of if you are disabled. Everyone is entitled of equal employment opportunity. Thank you and God bless.